At 2:13 a.m. on November 18th, 2021, an automated fraud detection system flagged a debit card transaction at a gas station outside St. Louis, Missouri. The purchase itself wasn't unusual. $46.80. Fuel pump number 4. Chip authorization approved in less than 2 seconds. But the bank's internal risk software detected something impossible. A second authorization attempt had occurred less than 4 minutes earlier in Cleveland, Ohio. Then another purchase appeared at 2:21 a.m. inside the Missouri convenience store using the same card number. The account belonged to Daniel Mercer, a 34-year-old logistics coordinator from Cleveland with no fraud history, no unusual travel records, and no financial instability. Normally, the card would have been frozen immediately, but investigators discovered something that changed the entire case. At 2:18 a.m., directly between the Missouri transactions, Daniel Mercer appeared on verified CCTV footage inside a downtown Cleveland hotel nearly 560 miles away. The timestamp matched hotel keycard access records and Wi-Fi activity from his devices. His phone remained connected to towers across Cleveland the entire night. GPS data, smartwatch activity, and surveillance footage all confirmed the same thing. Daniel Mercer never left Ohio, yet his debit card had somehow been used in Missouri. Investigators initially suspected ordinary card cloning. 3 days earlier, Daniel had used his card at a self-checkout terminal near Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Technicians later discovered a hidden skimming overlay attached to the payment reader. But there was a problem. The Missouri purchases weren't simple magnetic stripe transactions. EMV chip authentication logs confirmed the card had communicated directly with merchant terminals. Perfectly duplicating chip transactions was far more advanced than standard skimming fraud. Federal investigators were brought into the case after analysts noticed subtle irregularities in the transaction routing data. The Missouri purchases had traveled through an alternative payment processing pathway before reaching Daniel's bank. That discovery exposed a rarely discussed vulnerability inside older payment infrastructure. Certain overnight processors accepted delayed authorization packets under specific network conditions. Investigators realized the criminals weren't cloning physical chips at all. Instead, they captured authentication sequences from legitimate purchases and replayed them later through vulnerable processors during overnight batching windows. To the banking system, the transactions appeared genuine because parts of the authorization data actually were authentic. But another mystery remained. Surveillance footage from a Missouri gas station showed a man physically using a card at the terminal. After enhancing the footage, investigators noticed the card showed no visible chip reflection under infrared analysis. The suspect had likely used a non-functional duplicate card to intentionally trigger fallback magnetic processing, while stolen authorization data was transmitted separately through manipulated routing channels. The terminal believed the chip had malfunctioned. The processor proved fallback authorization, and the bank accepted replayed authentication data. It was a hybrid fraud method specifically designed to create forensic confusion. Digital evidence suggested a legitimate chip transaction, while physical evidence suggested an ordinary swipe. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered at least 23 similar cases across multiple states. Every victim had recently used unattended payment terminals like gas pumps, parking garages, or self-checkout kiosks. Every fraudulent purchase occurred between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., and every victim had a verified alibi proving they were somewhere else during transactions. Investigators eventually discovered the contradictions were intentional. The criminals specifically targeted people whose locations could later be confirmed beyond dispute, because impossible timelines made the fraud appear like technical error rather than organized crime. The breakthrough came when analysts reviewed archived surveillance footage from the Missouri gas station again. This time, they focused on the temperature display visible near the fuel pumps. The screen showed 38 degrees, but weather records proved the actual temperature was 22. Investigators discovered the surveillance system buffered footage before upload, causing synchronization delays during overnight processing. The suspect footage hadn't been recorded at the exact moment shown by the timestamps. The criminals had exploited outdated surveillance synchronization systems alongside manipulated payment routing to create overlapping timelines that appeared impossible. Investigators eventually traced the operation to Ehrenve, a subcontracted payment systems technician connected to multiple compromised merchant locations across 4 states. Inside a storage unit linked to him, authorities found counterfeit cards, skimming overlays, portable network injectors, and stolen processor credentials. The fraud network had stolen more than $4.7 million through coordinated low-value transactions spread across hundreds of accounts. The most disturbing part of the investigation was how little the criminals relied on hiding evidence. Instead, they overwhelmed investigators with authentic-looking digital records. Bank logs, GPS fragments, surveillance timestamps, and transaction histories all appeared legitimate individually. Together, they created a false reality strong enough to delay the truth for months. Daniel Mercer was eventually cleared completely, but investigators later admitted the case changed how financial crimes were examined. The banking systems had not technically failed. Every individual layer had simply trusted the others, and in the end, that trust became the weapon. The transaction proved the card was there, but the cameras proved its owner wasn't.